Hello boys and girls and parents too. As promised, I said I was going to bring you some math videos over some activities that you could try at home on your own. I know the world seems a little crazy right now, but if we can provide something normal for our kids, I think that is a great tool. Plus, it'll keep their brains fresh, and with math, sometimes if we don't use it, we tend to lose it a little bit. So hopefully this will help with that. I'll try to make one or two of these a week if I can. At the end of this video, for my kiddos, I am going to remind them how to make area models with fractions. So I've had a few questions on that too. So stay tuned, or if you don't want to do the math activity, skip to the end and get the help for your NTI days. That's fine as well. So let's get started. So you may have been wondering where my glasses went. I could not stand the glare, so I'm assuming that it was probably driving you crazy too. So I'll do this blind, and that's fine. I'm in my son's game room, so if it's a little messy, you know, he's been playing lots of games, but he's also, you know, been working too. Anyway, I'm rambling. Today's video is going to be a math activity based on decimals. So if you could, go shopping in your house and find 10 items that have a cost associated with them. For this activity, it's mainly going to be geared maybe to that 4th or 5th grade age student, but I will show you some ways that you can kind of make things a little easier, or even if you need to make things a little harder, we can do that as well. Decimals and money literacy is just a huge concept that I think kids need a better understanding of, because like if you're like me, my kid likes to go out and just spend, everything rounds down instead of rounding up. But anyway, so what you can do is, part of the issue with this activity is that you have to know the cost. And like I have these rainbow sprinkles right here. I thought of my nieces when I found this one. Hi girls. But it doesn't have the price on it anymore. So part of the fun of this activity is, once you find your 10 items, you need to search for them and find the cost of them. So I'm going to be searching for the cost of mine online real quick. And why I did not make this a Facebook Live video is, you can now pause the video, go find your 10 items or less, you don't have to do 10, and find the price of those, and then hit resume and listen for our first activity that we're going to do with these items. Okay, so I know you're excited to see what I went shopping for in the Dixon household. So what you can do with your items is you can make a list with their prices, which is what I did. I'll show you what I got in just a second. But as you make your list, make sure you line them up by your decimals, so when we go to compare them in a moment, because I'm going to ask you to compare them from least to greatest, go ahead and line up by your decimal points, like we did in class, if you're one of my students. So let me show you what I went shopping for in our house. I started, of course, with the can of sprinkles. I got those, I think, for $1.79 is what I found on the internet when I had to look them back up. I went shopping for pencils. If you're a teacher, you love these things. These are the best ones out there. And they are a 30 pack for $5.97. So for my students or kids out there who are ready to do more difficult problems, you could find the cost for one pencil, if that's a unit price. You could find the cost for one pencil. If the whole thing costs $5.97 and there's 30 of them, you could divide $5.97 by 30 to see what one pencil would cost. Okay. Also got spray. I love for my house to smell good, for my classroom to smell good, and when you have dogs in your house and when you have boys in your house, it's important to have smell good things. So this can cost just $1, and if you'll see when I made my list, it's right here, I just put $1 because it just has a whole number. It did not have any cents to it, and I'm going to show you what to do with that in just a moment. No house is complete without some food items, so I did throw some food items in here. We have shells and cheese. This is 3 boxes for $6.48. If you want to find what it costs for one box, you would take $6.48 and divide by 3. And if I have time in the video, I will do that. Lysol. All teachers have this at their disposal if cleaning our desk and things like that. So Lysol. When I looked it up on the internet, it said $4.16. That may have been for 2 bottles. I honestly can't remember, but $4.16. Corn Pops. It's one of my favorite cereals out there. This box costs $2.99. My boys love donuts, and the messy kind, of course. So this bag costs $1.99. For one of our items that doesn't cost as much, we have beefaroni. This is just 94 cents, so there's no whole number on this one. So if you look at my list when I added this one, I don't have a whole number listed. So we'll see what we can do with that in just a moment as well. 2 more items, I believe. Peanut butter. This is $2.59, and this is a 16 ounce. Of course, peanut butter comes in all sizes. So for my kiddos out there that are maybe in 6th grade or beyond, if you want to find out unit costs and see which one is the better deal, you could do that. I'm sure you've done that in middle school. If you need some help remembering how to do that, I can help you as well. And then the last item was the body wash. If you got boys in the house, you gotta keep them clean. So this was $4.99 from the dollar store, I believe. So I have my items. They are listed, and I'm now ready to order them from least to greatest. But before I do that, I like to do a few things to set myself up to make this problem just a little bit easier. My kiddos would say, Miss Dixon, if we're lining up by our decimal point, what do we do when some of the prices do not have the same amount of digits? And it's a common misconception that the item with the most digits costs the most, and that's not necessarily true. So my students are in the habit of adding zeros where needed. I could add a decimal point here and 2 zeros to make that $1, and that still equals $1. In fact, I could add as many zeros as I wanted to at the end of my decimal number, and it would not change the value. Okay, so this still is one whole number. They will also tell you it's good to ask your kids, where does a decimal go on a whole number? So if I had like the number 21 and I wanted to make it a decimal, where do I put my decimal? If I put it in front of the 2, that changes the value. If I put it between the 2 and the 1, that changes the value. So the decimal has to go at the end of the whole number. And then see if there's one other place, if you can find it, that I need to add a 0 just to kind of keep it nice and lined up. It's there. It does not have a whole number, so if you can find it. Can you? It's the beefaroni. So I need to add a 0 right here. Now everything is nice and lined up, and I am ready to compare. Okay, we are going to now list my items from least to greatest. All 10 of these. You can do your own. If you need to have a quick reminder on how to do this, just watch what I'm doing. If you're using my items, you may want to have your answer before you watch the correct order. So I'm going to start comparing by my largest place value, which is, in this case, is the ones place. I should have found an item that cost me $10 or more, but I didn't today. So I'm going through and I'm comparing. There's a 1, a 5, 1, and so forth. And where I added the 0, that's going to be my least amount. There's no other one that has a 0. There's nothing else to compare. So the beefaroni, in fact, was the cheapest. So I'm going to write out 94 cents. And that's the beefaroni. That's number 1. Okay. Then I'm going to mark it out so I don't accidentally look at it again. Boom. Okay. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to look. I've got some place value, looking at the ones place. The place value, I've got a 1, a 1, a 1. So 3 of them. $1.79, $1, and $1.99. So if they all have, and I can write these out really quick to the side. I'll have to erase them, but that's okay. And then $1.99. They all have the 1 in the ones place, so that doesn't help me compare, except for knowing that they're all the same in the ones place. Then I would go to the tenths. This one has a 7, a 0, and a 9. If I'm going least to greatest, I need the smallest number there, so I'm going to go with the $1, which would be, I think it was the house spray. So number 2 is the spray. I'm having to write really small, but it was $1. I can keep the zeros or I can drop them. So $1. I can get rid of it. Also, it's over here, so it's been taken care of. Then I can go back to the tenths. This one has a 7. This one has a 9. If I'm going least to greatest, 7 in the tenths place is going to be less than 9 in the tenths place. So that would be like 79 cents. This is 99 cents. So 179 is next, and that would be the sprinkles. Okay, that's 179. Now that leaves, I know what's next because there's only one other one with a 1 in the ones place. So 199, let me find it on my list. It was the donuts. That's 199. So far, I've got the beefaroni, the spray, the sprinkles, and then the donuts. So I can get rid of, I had an eraser somewhere. There it is. I can get rid of my math there. And I can mark out sprinkles, we've done it, and the donuts. So if I've looked at the ones with the $1, I wonder if I have any that have a 2. So let's look. $5.97, $6.48, $4.16, $2.99, and $2.59. So I can write those out. $2.99, $2.59, same whole number, 2. When I go to the tens place, I have a 9 and I have a 5. Okay? So the $2.59, if we're going least to greatest, would be next, and that is the peanut butter. Which means the $2.99 would have to be next. That's the cereal, the Corn Pops. Okay? And I can get rid of my math here. We're about halfway there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're over halfway there. So I did, let's see, $2. Do I have any that have a $3? I don't see any. I forgot to mark that out. I don't see any, so let's go to $4. We've got Lysol and we have the body wash. The Lysol was $4.16 and the body wash was $4.99. Whoa, I was acting like I was going to add them or something. Comparing, the 9 is greater than the 1, so that's the greater number. So Lysol would come next at $4.16. Body wash, $4.99 would be next. We'll call it BW, $4.99. I'm getting a little sloppy, but trying to get through this with you all so I can show you a couple more activities. So body wash is out, Lysol is out. I only have 2 items left. I have the pencils at $5.97. They're worth every penny. And I have this shells and cheese at $6.48. They have different whole numbers. One has a 5, one has a 6. So I know I can do pencils next. It is the second to greatest, but it is less than the shells and cheese at $5.97. Which leaves the shells at $6.48 to be my most expensive item out of these 10 items. Now I could get some more and I could challenge myself. I could find more expensive things that maybe cost over $10 and then I'd have different amount of digits that I'm comparing, and that would be good. So order your numbers, take your items, order them from least to greatest. If you don't want to do least to greatest, you could do greatest to least, but I also had that order if I went backwards. So go ahead and do that. If you need to pause the video, that's fine. And we'll go on to our next activity. So apparently I talk too much. I say so a lot. But anyway, when I was editing this video, YouTube videos, when you're new to making videos, can only be 15 minutes. And the teacher and me got the best of me, and I'm going to have to break this into 2 parts. So stay tuned for a couple more activities you can do with your items from the store. Thanks.